Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids of the Week video. I thought I would mix this one in here while I'm continuing to do some of your aliens and UFO suggestion. This one once again just being a random cryptid suggested from a random generator, this time falling upon one that is apparently found here in almost central Texas. In fact, reading this information, I kept thinking to myself, road trip when it comes to checking out this location, maybe sometime in the future. And in that way, who knows, maybe I'll be able to feature something about it, like a live stream or something else, video clips or shorts, here on my YouTube channel. But it's a cryptid that is very old. Its first sighting was actually in the early 1800s. And if the story goes today, as far as the length of time that this creature lives, then there's a chance it could still be around. So who knows, all these people that are moving here to Texas, you might actually be neighbors associated with this Bigfoot-like creature. In fact, you're looking at a picture of it here now. Has a very, very interesting name. It's known as the Wild Man of the Navidad. So let's go ahead and let's share all the fascinating info here, and then I'll give my own thoughts and opinions on it afterward. So here's essentially everything that I could find for it. So what is the Wild Man of the Navidad? Well, it's a Bigfoot-like creature. Those of you that are big fans of the Bigfoot creatures, this one is definitely for you. And it's supposed to be considered one of the very first sightings of this type of creature here in Texas. Remember, I was mentioning earlier that it was in the early 1800s. That's a long time back. In fact, we're coming close to the almost 200-year anniversary because it was first sighted back in 1837, long time ago when it comes to the early settlements there in and around central Texas. In fact, if you wanted to go to the exact spot, you have to go here to Sublime, Texas, there in a county called Lavaca County, fast-growing county like pretty much everything else here in Texas. And I've passed by this area. Who knew? Like whenever I was passing by it, was going from point A to point B, either on a ghost hunt or to a Comic-Con, that I was actually traveling by Bigfoot area. But yes, this was one of the first sightings associated with it. And let's go ahead and let's talk about essentially how it looked like. Think of your average cryptid, and when it comes to a Bigfoot, something along those lines, a big creature, short brown hair, considered very, very nimble. In fact, so nimble, in fact, that it was able to evade capture for a good number of years. This was something that was apparently traveling throughout various parts of the land there. And then people would see it. They would describe it as looking as a creature. In fact, they called it the thing that comes. This was the area there in Navidad where some of the slaves and other early settlers there were stating this was their quote for it, like this was their moniker for it. They didn't have anything else to basically describe it as other than what I was mentioning earlier. And because it was so elusive, there really wasn't much description to give. But otherwise, that's essentially what they called it, the thing that comes. But yes, this creature, this Bigfoot thing, whatever it was, would apparently come out on moonlit nights. And in that time period, all of a sudden, people would find either food missing from their cabins, even though it would go inside the cabins, it would actually go throughout sleeping dogs as well, families that were there sleeping in and around the location too. That's how good it was. It was actually able to do all of this and take that food missing without anyone being the wiser. And then on top of that, it would never steal anything else, like in terms of valuables, money, other type of gold and silver and so on. The only thing that, interestingly enough, besides the food, was the fact that it would steal some tools, but only momentarily, because later on these tools would reappear, but they would be polished. They would actually look almost as if they were brand new. And then on top of that, some of the other telltale marks associated with this creature, besides the missing food and besides the somewhat disappearance of these tools, where they would find makeshift camps nearby their cabins. Maybe these were the actual camps that this creature decided to stay when it was there, quote unquote, hunting throughout the night. But otherwise, the thing would visit and then it would disappear and then never come back really to that area as it went off to another new location. And then some of the other evidence associated with this Bigfoot-like creature is this. There was a reverend by the name of Reverend Samuel C.A. Rogers. He stated that in the spring of 1845, he saw some footprints associated with this creature and that they were very large. Like these were footprints that showcased where the creature was traveling, especially during the springtime again of that year. And that based on those footprints and the age associated with them, that this was something that could easily survive for a good number of years. So much so, in fact, that it looked like there was almost like a telltale sign associated with older footprints and then newer footprints, and no doubt they seem to match each other, but over several different number of years. There was actually some organized hunts associated with people trying to find this quote-unquote wild man, and when they did, get this, they actually found something associated with the creature. But this is where things take a weird turn, and some people believe that this was not, in fact, the actual wild man of the Navidad that was caught. So there was a trap made near a tree. It actually ended up catching something, and when that happened, it turns out that this was an ordinary man. This was someone who was apparently someone that escaped from Africa, and when they did so, they landed here in Texas. And when that happened, they had no clothes, they spoke no English. They apparently had a companion with them as well, someone there that had escaped with them too. But somewhere along the way, that companion ended up dying, and then this other person ended up living out there in the wild. And so people thought that for a while, or who knows if this was still the permanent thought as well, that the people, the ones that were seeing this quote-unquote thing, whatever it was that was roaming about in the night, very elusive, just seen in terms of bits and parts here, was the actual wild man of Navidad, that it was someone, even maybe a slave or someone else that was from Africa that had escaped and then in turn run about there in the Texas area. And if you go by that theory, then this person actually ended up being sold back into slavery, living in other parts of Texas, including Refugio and Victoria counties, at least until their death. So there's that angle associated with the wild man of the Navidad, that it was in turn someone that became, for lack of a better term, feral, being out there in the wild for so long, and that was the misinterpretation associated with this Bigfoot. And then if you go with the other angle, that is truly is a cryptid. It's somebody or something that has no identification when it comes to being a human, no slave, nothing else in terms of being from Africa, not even a regular, let's say, someone there like a regular settler, nothing along those lines. This was just a wild creature, an actual cryptid that was roaming about those locations, and then who knows if they're still out there too this very, very day. But yeah, looking at the information again, Sublime, Texas, traveling through that area, it's over near the Hyattsville location. I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I've passed by that area in the dead of night too, going from ghost hunts and then traveling back. And I'm wondering, next time I'm going to do that, I'm going to try to take a little detour, try to go to Sublime, Texas, and then see if there's anything showcasing some history associated with this Bigfoot-like creature. Fascinating stuff. But if anybody has any more info, something else I've had to miss, then please post those comments below. What about those of you in the local area as well? Any more legends you'd like to give, post them below. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.